We're at Stanford Stadium in Stanford, California, where Saturday afternoon Virginia Tech faces the Stanford Cardinal in ACC football. Our game previews presented by Bojangles. Stop by the Blacksburg, Christiansburg, or Radford Bojangles before the Hokies' next home game. Make your tailgate legendary. Bill Roth, Mike Burnop, getting set to call Saturday afternoon's game from here in Stanford. Mikey, welcome to California. This is Tech's first ever regular season game here on the West Coast.
Yeah, and it's beautiful out here. Unusually warm, Bill. But gosh, the Stanford Stadium is beautiful. The setting that it's in, mountains in the background. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be a beehive because it's their first home ACC game. And the Hokies got to be ready to go.
Hokies are coming off, I think, Mike, their best game of the year. Despite the loss last Friday on the other coast down in Miami, the Hokies really played their best game.
They did, and it got off to a great start. Think about it, Bill. The defense got the turnover. The offense comes out there. Kyron Drones avoids the pass rush, finds Benji Gosnell for that touchdown. They're up 7-0 early. You know, later on, Kyron Drones on that reverse play gets a great block for Jalen Lane going down the sideline for another touchdown there. Think about Caleb Spencer going back home, getting that pass interception, taking it down the field. So the defense got some turnovers and whatnot, and that certainly helped the offense out.
Stanford comes into this game with a mark of 2-2. Overall, 1-1 in the league. They won at Syracuse. They lost last week at Clemson. We're not sure as we stand here right now if Ashton Daniels is going to start at quarterback for them. He got hurt at the end of the Clemson game. He's a running quarterback.
He's a running quarterback. He's their leading rusher, and he's a handful. He's a great player. And you think about Micah Ford, you know, he had a big game against Clemson, 122 yards against that defense as a freshman. So he's certainly exciting to watch as well. They have two great receivers in Io Manor and CeCe. Those two guys have caught over half of the passes, 41 of the 80. And so they got some weapons on offense, and it'll be a handful.
One thing that I think is probably going to take a lot of people by surprise is how hot it is going to be. Here in the Bay Area, there are heat advisories, unseasonably hot. It's going to be over 90 degrees on this field tomorrow. It could be, believe it or not, the hottest game on record for Virginia Tech football.
Which is crazy when you think about how hot it was in Nashville, how hot it was in Miami, but coming to California where you think it's normally a little bit cool, not the fact. That's going to be a nice warm day.
We have a lot of Hokies out here. In fact, a bunch of Tech fans made the trip. They've been out here in wine country earlier in the week. Just about every interview that I've done, people have said, what do you think about Stanford being in the ACC? Okay, clearly we are not on the Atlantic coast. Quite the opposite. We are on the Pacific coast. This is your first trip to this campus. What are your initial impressions of Stanford and this university?
It's beautiful, Bill. All the trees around the stadium. It's an awesome setting. The campus is very nice. Not a lot of high buildings. I think it's beautiful. You can see why the attraction is here to get so many great students and great athletes. So it's been fun to be here and be a part of this, and I'm anxious to see how big the crowd is tomorrow and how many Hokies are here.
I'm anxious to see how the Hokies play. Most of all, though, we're excited that you'll be able to follow the action on your hometown Virginia Tech Sports Network radio affiliate. We'll be on the air at 1:30 Eastern Time. The kickoff is set for 3:30. You can hear it wherever you are on Sirius XM and, of course, on the Hokie Sports mobile app anywhere in the world. Mikey, let's talk about your keys to the game, how you see it.
Well, I think number one, Bill, you got to forget the end and bring the M. And what I mean by that, forget the end of the game at Miami. Nobody was happy about that. It was disappointing. Could have been a game changer, a program changer. Didn't happen that way. You got to forget it. You don't want Miami to beat you twice. But bring the M. Bring that mojo, the momentum that you got from that game into this game. And play well and kind of continue on that feet. They played their best game all in all, and that's where they need to continue to pick it up.
Stanford's really good against the run. They're number one in the ACC, 8th nationally. Can Tech run the ball against these guys?
That's number two, establish the run. 76 yards is all they give up. Tootin, the tugboat, has been great. 4 straight 100-yard games. They got to establish that run, which goes back to the offensive line. Can they give him some daylight? Can he get loose and establish a run and make some hay there?
And regardless who plays quarterback for Stanford in this game, they do have some big play capability, and that got Tech last week.
It did. I mean, you think about that. Cam Ward was unbelievable. You know, he did have some turnovers and made some mistakes, but in the fourth quarter, second half, he had 3 straight touchdown drives to end that game. And explosive plays, that's number 3. You got to limit the explosive plays. I think Miami last week, Bill, had 18 plays of 10 yards or more. That's way too many. You just think about that, how many drives that extends. Hokies have got to try to limit that. Miami had over 500 yards rushing, or 500 total yards last week. The Hokies could have won that game easily, but limit those explosive plays, that'll help.
That's how Mike sees it. We'll talk with you Saturday afternoon, 1:30 Eastern, pregame coverage, 3:30 kickoff from here in California.